Ark Survival Evolved is a big game, and not just on your hard drive. It's got dinosaurs, it's got fantasy creatures, it's got alien tech shit. Okay, between you and me, I don't know anything about the lore. Pretty sure it's called that because my mouth becomes an upside down Ark when my dinos die. The point is that a lot of people like the game. So, when Ark 2 was announced at the 2020 Game Awards, people were excited. Well, mostly they were excited about Vin Diesel.
Is that Vin Diesel?
That's Vin Diesel! Crossroads 2, baby!
No gameplay is shown, but people are optimistic that a new engine would fix a lot of problems, and they're just excited for more Ark. Tentative release date of 2022.
Nothing's sadder than locking a beast in a cage.
Fast forward to June of 2022. Ark 2 isn't out yet, but it gets another trailer. Again with Vin Diesel, again no gameplay. They also give a big update on their website that includes some good news and some bad. The good news is that the console version of Ark 2 will have full mod support, and that the game will launch on console, Game Pass, and PC simultaneously. The bad news is that the release window got pushed back an entire year. But there's a lot of just other info. The update mentions Souls-like melee combat, hostile PvE tribes, and it states that the game will be third person only, while saying that with their new and improved modding system, first person can be added back in. Like, okay. Unfortunately, what was meant to rally up excitement for the game kinda just confused people. Why are they making Ark 2 a fucking Souls-like? Is Ark 2 not gonna be survival? Are you okay with third person only?
Nope.
Many folks are reading headlines and assuming the worst. In reality, the Souls-like thing seems to mean that players and dinos would have more animations, and PvP would be more skill-based. As it stands, combat in Ark is often reduced to repeatedly clicking M1, and the person who wins the most is usually just the person with the most powerful dinos. But surely all this can be cleared up when Wildcard releases a gameplay preview that they assure us is down the road, and they think you'll like what you see. Well, spoiler alert, players wouldn't like what they see. They also wouldn't dislike what they see because we never got this gameplay preview. January 10th, 2023, the official Ark Twitter uploads this meme about Ark in Unreal Engine 5 to very positive reception. A couple weeks later, Jeremy Steiglitz, the lead designer and programmer for Ark, tweets saying, "The Unreal Engine 5 tease a couple weeks back is referring to an in-the-works complete free upgrade/remaster of Ark Survival Evolved." Where things start to unravel is a couple months later when it was announced that this update, now being called Ark Survival Ascended, isn't quite what was promised. Did we say free?
Who told you that?
We meant $50 plus another $40 to rebuy all the DLC. $50 for a graphical update. However, you do actually get more than that. You also get Ark 2 included, which some people are happy about, but a lot aren't because this bundle is the only way to get Ascended. So there's a bunch of people who weren't planning on buying Ark 2 who are now being forced to. Also, Ark 2 doesn't even exist yet and could be total dog shit. The update also mentions quality of life improvements, but like, why are these being sold? Why are they not just coming to the original game? People were hoping the price hike was an April Fool's joke, but it was a day early, and it wasn't. After backlash from the community, they end up separating the two, but are now charging $60 for Ark Survival Ascended, but it will include all future DLC. And now, the group that was initially happy isn't happy either. The thing is that Ark 2 was always going to cost more than the DLC, so paying more to get the DLC instead of Ark 2 is not a good deal. After all this, they eventually land at $45 and including the DLC, which is an alright deal compared to what it was, but it's also a far cry from free. A couple days before its launch, a trailer for Ark Ascended is uploaded. People in the comments are worried that their PCs may ascend and that they'll go up in flames, and unfortunately, they were kinda right. Ascended's recommended specs are slightly above the average PC for the era, but also from what people are saying, it seems that even much stronger PCs are having issues. These folks said that they can get it to run okay if they turn the settings so low it looks worse than Ark Survival Evolved. I mean, massive W. Lag, bugs, server crashes, connection problems, hours of progress disappearing, characters getting stuck in places, cheaters running rampant. You guys know the drill. Even Jeremy himself said the servers are ass.
Firstly, I want to say servers are ass. They run like ass, and their stability is ass.
One situation that was sort of unique to Ark had to do with taming and hatching. Basically, if you're hatching baby dinos, the eggs will take a certain amount of time depending on a number of factors. And it's important that somebody's there when they hatch because you have to manually feed them until they grow up a little. Problem is that the servers are so fucky and there's so much time dilation that instead of being born, say, after work like planned, they're being born in the middle of the night and either starving to death or someone is having to actually take care of these things late into the night like a real-ass parent would. Some people have defended the bug saying that the game was launched in early access, but that's kind of a problem in itself. It's mostly a remaster, why is it in early access? Also, some of these bugs had been present in Ark Survival Evolved, which brought into question the claim that this game was built from the ground up in Unreal Engine 5. To make this entire situation worse, they pulled the plug on official servers for Ark Survival Evolved. You can still pay to host your own, but some people had years of progress on those servers. Also, Ark has always been buggy, and Unreal 5 isn't exactly a lightweight engine, so some people just had no choice but to stick with the original game. So before I go any further, I want to talk about the developer situation. Ark Survival Evolved was developed and published by Wildcard Studios. Despite Ark being a breakout success, they found themselves in some financial troubles in their first year. This is because Wildcard and Jeremy Steiglitz had a lawsuit filed against them by Trendy Games, where he was previously employed. Now, simultaneous to this lawsuit being filed, I'm talking the same month, Wildcard was bought by a larger Chinese company called Snail Games. Most people believe that Wildcard had to be bought because of the financial troubles from the lawsuit, but it is possible that Wildcard was looking for publishers anyway. In the end, Trendy and Wildcard ended up settling for a reported $40 million, and Wildcard is now owned by Snail Games. The latter of which gets blamed for a lot of the scummy decisions that get made. This video is largely focused on Ascended and Ark 2, but the truth is that Evolved wasn't all sunshine and rainbows either. They made a VR version of the game and had several DLCs while the game was still in early access and poorly optimized. Also, there's definitely been a push to make Ark into a franchise with mixed results. Survival of the Fittest was a battle royale set in the Ark universe that got abandoned. There was a voxel-based Ark game that also got abandoned. There's the Ark animated series on Paramount, which does seem to be a success. It's not super surprising that they would try to make it into a franchise because Ark is kind of the only project of theirs that succeeded. Outside Ark, their only game of note was a pirate MMO called Atlas, which was extremely buggy and also got abandoned. Really, the whole point of this section is that it leads us to where we currently are, where the community sees Snail as an evil corporate overlord, and Wildcard is kind of the reluctant accomplice who made something that the fans loved, but maybe their hands aren't entirely clean either. I don't know. The worst of what I'm going to talk about is still yet to come, so just hold this thought in your head. There's one controversy in particular I wanted to talk about because it really caught people's attention with how scummy Snail is. So T is known to be the tribe of the owners of the game and have been accused of using cheats in the past. This particular story occurs on a Conquest server, which is important because all other official servers are enforced by Wildcard, whereas the Conquest servers are enforced by Snail. The events revolve around a tribe called the Island Boys who were getting into some PvP with T. Basically, the Island Boys were doing really well and killing all their dinos. Unfortunately, the server crashes and rolls back to before the fight began, meaning that all the dinos they had just killed were back alive. Not to worry, because the second time they're doing even better. They get accused of aimbotting, the server crashes, and it rolls back again. Oh shit. Island Boys are winning, server crashes and rolls back. Dinos are all getting killed, server crashes and rolls back. This happens several more times. Eventually one of their tribe mates gets banned and they decide not to bother with this. And wouldn't you know it, this time the server doesn't crash. You might be tempted to think that maybe the fight caused the server to crash, but these types of big matches are not unusual for a server of this size. It's also extremely doubtful it had anything to do with server performance because of what happened next. A couple hours go by and they're setting up to attack them again, and the admins begin a mass banning spree. 93 people from their tribe get banned. Several people try to appeal the bans on Discord only to be banned from the Discord as well. And that's kind of where things end. Obviously this solidified the hatred a lot of people had for Snail Games. You hear about devs doing a lot of stupid stuff, but mass banning people because you're getting your ass kicked is definitely up there. Let's get back to the game. So Ascended introduced a lot of new things, not all of which were included for free. Let's start with Bob's Tall Tales, which is technically 3 DLCs bundled together. Remember when I said that all the maps they remade from Evolved would be included in Ascended for free? Well, this is true, but alongside some of them, they launched some map-specific DLCs. Extinctions was wasteland themed, Scorched Earth was cowboy themed, and Aberrations was steampunk? Dude, the theming of Ark is such a mess, oh my god. Anyway, people had some pretty negative reactions to this DLC. Some of it is harmless stuff like skins, decorative structures, and missions, however some of it is extremely useful. A gene scanner which can be used to edit dinos' genes, a stopwatch teleportation device, a clock that speeds up crafting for nearby structures. The Lost Colony expansion pack includes a skill tree with things like triple health regen rate. So at this point you may be asking yourself a lot of questions, but mainly, is Ark pay to win? When I looked into this question, I got some interesting answers. I already kinda knew that Ark Mobile was largely considered pay to win by PvPers, but I always kinda thought the main game was okay. The answers really depended on when they were from. 5 years ago, most people were saying no, it's not pay to win, fuck you for even suggesting it is. But nowadays it seems like the answer is yeah, it's always been pay to win and you're dumb as hell if you don't know this. And yeah, looking back, there were a lot of powerful things behind DLC. The main problem with this is that you can transfer things between maps, meaning that those who bought the DLC can still interact with and have an advantage over those who didn't. Then there's the matter of the black market. It's not unusual for things on there to be sold for hundreds of dollars. Highly desirable items like base locations and decked out bases sometimes being sold for thousands. I've heard stories of tribes buying the most powerful stuff within hours of a server starting. Now, Wildcard did eventually crack down on this, but from what I understand, they didn't do anything about it for years. Some people have suggested that Snail is involved in the black market, but there doesn't seem to be any actual evidence of that. I also want to talk about fantastic tames. Some of these guys will spawn on maps, but you can only tame them if you have the DLC, which are $5 a pop. Most people seem to argue that while they are very strong, they're not the strongest thing in the game, so therefore it's not pay to win. Which, I mean, yeah, I guess. But really, it's only partially about balance. We've gone from $15 buying you a whole new map with plenty of creatures, new bosses, new story elements, and new items, to $15 buying you exactly 3 creatures. And I gotta say, some people are weirdly defensive of the pay to win. I don't want to victim blame, but I think some of you guys aren't victims. I think some of you are in the chair in the corner while your wallet gets fucked. It's one thing to be like, okay, they worked hard on this DLC, they deserve to make money off of it. It's another thing to straight up defend pay to win. I hope that this is a psyop put forward by the devs because I don't want to believe this is real. Anyway, with pay to win covered, surely this is the finale of the video and there are no more controversies that— Oh my god. In March of 2025, they announced that in celebration of Ark's 10-year anniversary, they were releasing a new DLC for Ark Survival Evolved. Yes, Evolved. With new creatures and a new underwater map. From the get-go, this DLC was riddled with controversy. For starters, the trailer. The entire thing from visuals to voiceover was AI. Now, people already hate AI for a number of valid reasons, but the community also felt it didn't bode well for the amount of effort put into the whole thing. The devs claimed they didn't even know the trailer had been made, as that responsibility falls squarely on the shoulders of marketing, and assured fans that they do not use AI when developing. More on the devs later. The main problem with Aquatica is basically that it broke everything, corrupting some people's save files and making 90% of mods unusable even if you didn't buy it. But what really got people putting on their tinfoil hats is the fact that none of their other 12 DLCs ever broke the game like this. So you are telling me that 2 years after you launched a new game, and the majority of the player base refused to switch over, you just happened to release the only DLC to ever break the game like this? I mean, it's hard not to be suspicious. At this point in the game's lifecycle, a lot of modders had moved on from Ark Survival Evolved, and also they didn't release an updated dev kit to match this new version of the game, meaning modders couldn't fix things even if they wanted to. A representative for Studio Siren said that any mods not fixed by the modders would be fixed by the studio themselves. However, community members were quick to point out that they can't legally do this, as mods are owned by whoever made them. Instead, Studio Siren just focused on bug fixes. When it was announced that Ascended would be a separate paid game instead of just a graphical update, one of the reasons given was that they didn't want to mess with the original game, for those who prefer it or are unable to upgrade. So much for that. I also want to bring attention to the fact that this was a paid DLC. Their thank you for 10 years of playing Ark is a paid DLC that broke everything on a game that they won't even keep servers up for. Even the most dedicated Ark lovers, like this guy with a whopping 35,000 hours in the game, had some choice words about this DLC. Fortunately, Snail decided to take some big steps to fix this whole debacle. Normally they only allow the current build of the game to be available, but they seemed to realize what a monumental fuck-up this was and created a beta you could opt into on Steam, succinctly named pre-aquatica. But people aren't putting down their pitchforks just yet. The fear is that they could yank this beta at any point, and depending on how paranoid you are, may have already alluded to doing so. Now, if you've been paying attention, you might be asking yourself, how are you even supposed to play this DLC? Is the community stuck paying for servers for everyone? Luckily, and confusingly, no. They temporarily brought back servers. On Twitter, one of the devs involved gave some insight. In these tweets, he shared that Aquatica was made by 10-ish people plus contractors, although that number was cut about halfway through production. He didn't exactly point the finger at Snail, but said that everyone worked very hard, mentioning that time and resources were tight. Honestly, I don't know if 10 people is a reasonable number for a project like this, but given that Ark has sold over 20 million copies, given that this was to celebrate Ark's 10-year anniversary, given that they've never made an underwater map before, and given how it turned out, I think Snail should have given this thing a lot more time and resources. So Aquatica really marked a low point for Ark. I think for part of the player base there's a sense that the golden age of Ark has passed. I mean, it's hard to be hopeful when you believe that they tried to kill off the game to force everyone to the new one. You may have noticed that since I started talking about Ascended, I haven't said anything about Ark 2, and that's because there hasn't been much to talk about. Jeremy said that they've only been nibbling at it, and that it's very difficult to do Souls-like combat in a multiplayer PvP context. I guess it's not all bad for Wildcard. People are still enjoying the game, they have a successful TV series, Vin Diesel is their president of creative convergence, whatever that means. So maybe things start getting better. Anyway, Wildcard is bad at managing their game and I am bad at outros. Like and subscribe please, bye!